the name of service now, I command the spirit Mondier, speak to me. There's truth in the bones. He's coming. A scarred man. And he's a woman. No. He's a killer. He's killed before. He will silence me. Action tuée contre la loi. Assassin! I'm to be murdered. I'm to be murdered.
Okay, no one is to touch anything. I want the room locked until we get there.
Have we got any ice cubes?
Sir?
To go in front of the fans. Basically, they're just pushing warm air around.
We should go.
Yep. Good.
What's going on?
A body's been found.
Where?
Notre Dame School.
School's closed, but I've left a message for the headmaster.
Where is he?
I don't know, he must have gone out.
Signs of rictus, blood around the lips. She's been poisoned.
To be murdered. I'm to be murdered.
Ah, Dr. Hudson, my old school science teacher. The years have improved him, if anything. So what was she drinking?
Rum.
So what's an old lady doing drinking rum in a school classroom? Who was she drinking with? And where's the bottle?
Well, sir, if Mr. Dunham hasn't changed, there might be one here.
Mr. Dunham?
The school headmaster. And he used to take a quick shot while we were writing up notes. He thought we didn't see him. Here it is.
You went to this school?
Yes, sir. And if you want to commit the perfect murder, you can't do better than a school science lab. With poisons in that cupboard there, and reference books and equipment here for mixing up recipes.
So that's how you spent your time at school, is it, Fidel? Planning the perfect murder? Quite right, too. So, what happened here?
She was murdered.
Well, you can have a point for stating the blindingly obvious, Dwayne, but I think in order to bring someone to justice, we may need a little more.
She was murdered by a scarred man who's killed before and wanted to silence her. Voodoo. She said it, Chief, I swear.
And this was last night?
After you'd been drinking?
I wasn't the only one there. She said she'd be murdered and that she saw it in the bones.
Well, that'd be a first. A victim that actually predicted their own murder.
Well, you know, there's more to life than life.
That doesn't even mean anything.
Did she say anything else?
Just what I told you.
That she'd be killed by a scarred man.
Would someone tell me what's going on? I'm Nicholas Dunham, the headmaster here. Good morning, Fidel.
Good morning, sir.
Angelique Morel. She is my mother-in-law. I'm widowed now. But, do we know how she died?
Well, we're really just beginning
She's been poisoned.
What?
Is this your rum?
It's usually in my desk drawer.
Did you drink any of it with Angelique this morning?
Don't be absurd.
Well, it seems she was drinking with someone.
Well, she came to see me earlier. We talked briefly, and then I left. And when I did, that bottle was most definitely still in my desk.
Sir?
Yes?
No, sorry, sir. Not you, sir, but that sir. Sir.
Yes?
This glass, I can smell almonds.
Do you keep cyanide in your poison scope? Yes. But all dangerous chemicals and poisons are kept under lock and key here, away from the children.
How many keys are there?
Just the one. Mine. So, as you'll see, all the chemicals are here. And, yes, here's the cyanide.
Don't touch, if you don't mind. Dwayne, bag this bottle of cyanide, will you?
Sir, there's no way that Angelique could have been poisoned with that cyanide.
Well, let's find out, shall we? After all, this is a school science lab. You're a scientist. I'm sure you've heard of the Prussian blue test.
Of course.
Then perhaps you can find me the necessary chemicals. Prussian blue is a colour discovered in the 18th century, and you only get it when you mix three...
So who else has been in the school today?
Molly Kerr, my secretary, Tom Hilton, the school handyman, and Father Charles Dean.
We first add iron sulfate.
And who discovered the body?
Father Charles.
Then we'll need to talk to them all.
Of course.
Because if there's any cyanide present, once we add the nitric acid, the liquid will turn Prussian blue. There was cyanide in this glass, Headmaster. Any idea how that might have happened?
Angelique just wanted to borrow some books from me. Something to do with herbal remedies.
Did you know she practiced voodoo?
Yes, well, we rarely discussed it. This is a Roman Catholic school, after all.
How long did you talk to her for?
10 minutes, no longer. Then I left her to it and went off to run some errands.
You left her alone in your classroom?
Well, I didn't know she was about to be murdered, did I?
And these errands, what were they?
Well, I went to buy some fruit from the market.
And did you?
Well, I just arrived there when I got Molly's message to come back. Isn't that right, Miss Kerr?
Yes, Headmaster.
Molly Kerr?
Sorry.
I've been the Headmaster's secretary for 20 years.
Did you see Angelique at all today, Miss Kerr?
Oh, yes, I let her in. I took her straight to the Headmaster's classroom, just as she requested. Then I went back to the office, which is where I was 20 minutes later when Father Charles came to tell me he found her body. So that's when I rang for an ambulance and called the police. I hope I did the right thing.
Yeah, that's a very thorough account. Thank you. So Angelique arrived just after 10:30. The headmaster said he'd left her by 10:45. She was found dead by 11.
It has to be the headmaster. He's got a scar.
Oh, don't do this.
But the prophecy...
All right, that's enough. No one's to mention this prophecy again, do you hear me? We're detectives. We deal in physical evidence and forensic science. We do not stick pins into dolls and dance naked around a campfire.
Now, that I'd like to see.
Yeah, well, it's not going to happen.
But it came true.
No, it didn't. The reason Angelique Morella's dead will contain means, motive and opportunity. It will have a killer who wanted her dead, and it will contain scientific fact and evidence that will conform to known precedents. It will not, I repeat, not have anything to do with spirits or crystal balls. Is that perfectly understood? Nobody, and I mean nobody, is to mention that word again. Which word?
Voodoo.
You can't come here and dismiss a whole religion. Creole beliefs have been part of the island for hundreds of years.
So are cholera and TB, and the French. But you managed to get rid of them in the end.
I'm half French.
There's no such thing as half French. I want full statements detailing where everybody was between 10:30 and 11:30 this morning. And the headmaster told us he went to the market, so find out if anybody saw him there.
What about Father Charles? He found the body.
No. First, I want to see what kind of woman predicts her own murder.
That's not strictly correct procedure.
Never had you down as a stickler, Camille?
Definitely the headmaster.
Hell yeah.
The headmaster has a link to the victim. He has access to the poison cupboard. It was his room, and he seems to be the only one with the opportunity.
Exactly. It's too easy.
Oh, that's what this is about, isn't it? You don't like things to be easy, do you? You want them to be difficult so we can all see how brilliant you are.
I'm sorry, but when even the murder victim gives me a description of the killer, and all the evidence also points at him, I feel like I'm being manipulated.
So you ignore the truth?
I don't know what the truth is yet.
Nicholas Dunham is a killer.
You can't possibly know that.
Well, I do.
How?
Intuition.
Oh, great. Why don't we just go the whole hog, you know? I'll take my clothes off, you light the fire.
He's English.
Good grief.
Yeah.
Is that a lizard?
Don't get any ideas. Was that your stomach?
Why would Angelique go to the school for a book on herbal remedies when she's got her own library?
This must be Angelique's daughter, Delilah. Nicholas's dead wife.
These are pretty hardcore.
It's so sad.
Camille.
She hated Nicholas Dunham enough to burn his photograph.
Then why stop by for a chat?
Exactly. Then we need to talk to him again.
Nope. Now we talk to Father Charles. He found the body, Camille. It's correct procedure. You'll appreciate that.
I'll come with you. No, you stay here and process the evidence and make a start lifting the fingerprints. I'll go down to the market and see if anyone remembers seeing the headmaster. Then I suppose I better get after Tom Hilton.
Why do I always have to stay here while you run around having fun?
Because I'm the only person around here that looks this cool on a bike. And there's no one better at processing evidence than you. No, seriously, Fidel. You never make a mistake. You're brilliant. But me? I'm all fingers and thumbs. Which is not good when you're lifting prints. Is this about your headmaster? He taught you for all those years, and now it turns out he's a murderer? Okay, so putting aside the fact that it looks like it's him, and the prophecy says it's him, it doesn't necessarily have to be him. It could be Father Charles for all we know.
But that's the thing. Father Charles taught me RE for 7 years. He's one of the nicest people I know.
Okay, then it's Molly Kerr.
Okay, when I was at school, you go to Molly if you cut your knee or if you had a headache. She's one of the nicest people I know.
I see a pattern here.
All I could think is it must be Tom Hilton.
Which is a bit of a problem.
How come?
Because Tom Hilton is one of the nicest people I know. Look, whoever it is, Fidel, we'll catch them. Because that's what we do. We catch killers. And I look cool on bikes.
Father Charles?
Yes. I presume you want to ask me about Angelique.
Detective Inspector Richard Poole, we understand you found the body of Angelique Morel.
Yes, poor woman. But she was old, and I think it's no secret to say her health was deteriorating.
You believe she died of natural causes?
Didn't she?
She was poisoned.
Well, we're still trying to establish the, Can you tell us your movements today?
Well, I was in my office this morning writing a sermon, and I sometimes join the headmaster for coffee, so just before 11, I headed towards his classroom.
Did you see anyone else?
I passed Tom Hilton, the caretaker, in the top corridor. But But when I got to the headmaster's classroom,
Yes?
well, that's when I saw the body just lying there. I didn't know what to do, so I went and told Molly at once that I'd found the body.
If you passed the caretaker in the corridor, did you see where he was coming from?
No,
Could he have been coming from the science room?
I suppose so.
How well did you know Angelique, Father?
I think you can say we moved in different circles.
But you knew she was Mr. Dunham's mother-in-law.
Yes.
He's widowed now.
Yes. His wife passed some while ago.
Do you know how she died?
Yes, I believe it was suicide. Very sad. Is there anything else I can help you with?
Sure. And we're going to need a preliminary autopsy report as soon as you've got it, okay? Thank you.
Well, if I'm not arrested, then this is kidnapping.
Tom, how you doing?
Fidel! Boy, you've done some growing.
Yes, sir.
You hear that? Sir, that's respect that you might have had if you'd gone to school.
I went to school. Sometimes. Where's the chief?
They've gone back to Notre Dame.
Fidel, he dragged me out to Juliana's. Still half a drink on the bar.
Well, you shouldn't go running off, should you?
I know my rights.
And what are they?
That I'm allowed a phone call and a beer.
You know what I'm thinking?
No,
How can you say that?
because I have never, at any time while I've been with you, known what you're thinking.
Okay, first, Angelique must have known her killer.
Agreed.
Secondly, to predict her own murder, she either managed to be in contact with the spirit world, or she feared her life was in danger somehow, and this was her way of telling us.
Thank you. Finally, a sensible explanation. Yeah, of course.
And thirdly, we should speak to my mother.
Okay, now you've lost me.
I'm pretty sure she knew Angelique.
You must have heard the story.
That story?
It was a huge scandal. Nicholas Dunham found out his wife Delilah was having an affair.
I think you need to hear this.
Must be 15 years ago now. Nicholas discovered the affair and confronted her. He begged her not to leave.
And did she?
No one knows what really happened, but Delilah was such a sweet girl. People say she was torn between Nicholas and her lover, both pulling her in different directions until she couldn't cope anymore. Then, one night, she went for a walk across the cliffs and threw herself into the sea.
Was her body ever found?
No.
Sorry.
Was that your stomach again?
Well, there's only so much mango and sweet potato a man can eat.
Can I cook you something?
Oh, well.
A crab salad? Squid? Boudin?
I'm fine.
Poor Angelique.
Dwayne saw her last night. He said she predicted her own murder.
Voodoo?
Please.
You don't believe?
What, in people foretelling the future using chicken bones? I'm all Church of England, really.
Because God is English.
Almost certainly.
Do you know anything about voodoo?
Yes. It's all witch doctors and wild hair, you know, sort of staring eyes.
It was born from slavery and colonization, but based on Christianity. In voodoo, the prayers are Catholic. They even worship the Catholic saints. Papa Legba holding the keys to the afterlife, only because St. Peter does.
Well, there you are. You learn something new every day.
Thanks for your help. Come on, Camille. Lots to do.
Bye, Mama. Bye.
Oh, Delilah Dunham's lover. Do you know who he was?
Yes, his name was Charlie Dean.
So Father Charles was having an affair with Delilah. I wonder why he didn't tell us that.
Sir, if her body was never found, wouldn't it be natural for Angelique to think that her daughter was maybe murdered?
You mean by Nicholas? Well, that would explain why she was burning photographs of him.
And what if she could prove it? Finally. And she went to see him today to accuse him of murder. Oh, that's why she made the prophecy.
Go on.
It was her insurance policy. If he killed her next, we were to look for a scarred man who might have tried to silence her. It's Nicholas. He's our killer.
Camille, see if you can find the file on the disappearance of Delilah Dunham. Who are you?
That's Tom Hilton, Chief. The school caretaker.
Afternoon.
He's sitting in my chair.
Out of the Chief's chair.
Why is he drinking beer?
It's hot.
Oh, really? Take him to an interview room.
Thanks. Oh, any news on the autopsy?
It's scheduled for 5 o'clock this afternoon. They'll send a preliminary report.
Background checks on the staff?
All clean except Tom in there. He's been arrested for most everything.
Including murder, by any chance?
No, sir. Just theft, drunken behavior, receiving stolen goods, driving without a license, and goat rustling.
Go and take his statement, would you? Concentrate on who we saw at the school this morning, particularly around the science lab.
Yes, sir.
Chief, I asked around the market, and no one remembers Mr. Dunham being there at any time this morning.
He's a well-known figure. If he was there, like he said he was, someone should have seen him.
So he lied about his movements.
Oh, and look, my mother was right. Delilah's body was never found.
Print it out, would you? Fidel, what kind of headmaster was Mr. Dunham?
Very strict, sir. When he passed through in the corridor, it was stand up straight, hands behind your back.
Pompous, stickler. Always had to have the last word.
He loved putting people in detention.
He's a killer.
Let's bring him in. Mr. Dunham, would you accompany us to the station? We've got a few questions we'd like to ask you.
No, I wouldn't.
Well, we're asking politely, but we can do this the hard way.
Oh, don't be so melodramatic. If you'll excuse me, I have things to do.
In that case, I'm arresting you for the murder of Angélique Morin.
What?
You do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defense if you do not mention when questioned something you later rely on in court.
You're making a serious mistake, young lady. I'm innocent. Take these things off. Don't you know who I am?
I was hoping to make it a bit less official.
He wasn't cooperating.
Good job you're not armed.
You'll regret this, young lady. I believe I'm allowed a phone call.
Okay, well, thank you. That was the pathologist. The preliminary report's in, and Angélique definitely died of cyanide poisoning.
You've got the right man.
Can you prove to me that Nicholas killed Angélique Morel without using the words scarred man or voodoo?
Okay, what evidence did you recover from the scene? Cyanide. What are these?
Fidel found them in the bin by the door of the lab. Shard of glass from the sink in the lab.
You wanted to kill someone. Did you really do it in your place of work?
The thoughts crossed my mind.
Nicholas may well not have been honest with us, which is why I was happy to bring him in. But is he really stupid enough to carry out a murder in his own classroom using poison from a cupboard only he has a key to?
No, he isn't. I've just got a phone call from Nicholas Dunham saying that you've just arrested him for murder. Please tell me that isn't true. He carries a lot of influence on this island. I hope any case you have against him is completely watertight.
The investigation's ongoing, sir.
You weren't at the market. We've asked. No one remembers seeing you.
That's because I wasn't there.
So you admit you lied?
Yes. And I'll show the commissioner where I was.
Thank you. If you were here, why did you lie?
What I was doing here was illegal. And if you want, you can rearrest me for theft. But my duty is to my community. And I'll help them in whatever way I can.
What on earth were you doing in a nunnery that could count as theft?
It's not a nunnery. Continuez, mes enfants. It's an orphanage. The school board paid for some new computers, but the old ones work perfectly well. It's an overindulgence.
So you brought the new ones here instead?
Yes, though Tom did most of the donkey work.
What time was Angelique killed, coming?
Just before 11, sir.
I'm sure the sisters will confirm that I was here at least 10 minutes before that, in time for morning tea.
So to be clear, your alibi for the time of the murder is that you were doing charity work in an orphanage surrounded by nuns.
Yes.
That was humiliating.
I'm sorry, sir. Arresting Nicholas was my idea.
He brought it on himself by lying about where he was.
He's a very difficult man. He likes to play games. I suggest you try not to get on the wrong side of him. I was the investigating officer for his wife's disappearance many years ago.
You concluded it was suicide?
We had little choice. The body was never found.
You knew about the affair with Charles D?
Of course.
You didn't suspect foul play?
She vanished into thin air. I even dug up Nicholas Dunham's patio. He was building it just after his wife disappeared. It's all in the file. In the end, the only thing that made sense was that she carried out a threat and threw herself into the sea.
So what was this headmaster like when you was there?
Mr. Dunham, he was okay 1 minute, but then he could turn, you know. I remember I got a new pair of football boots. It was my birthday, 14, I think. I shined those boots. I don't think I've ever been so proud of anything in my entire life. When we had our first school match, Mr. Dunham came into the dressing room and he saw everyone gathered around admiring my new boots. Mr. Dunham told me that I was being boastful, and that was a bad thing, and so he took my boots away from me.
No.
Yeah.
It's a shame we won't be locking him up anytime soon. Seems his alibi checked out. And get this, he was with a bunch of nuns.
Nuns?
I know. Don't ask.
You know they say poison is a woman's weapon?
Molly, the school secretary?
Could be.
I thought she was the nicest person you knew.
Why didn't you tell us about your relationship with Delilah Dunham, Father?
Well, it was 15 years ago now. Delilah was a keen cyclist. I was a younger member of the staff, and one day I was at a junction in my car and she slammed into me and she broke her arm in 2 places. I visited her in hospital as often as I could, and we started having an affair.
When did her husband find out?
Oh, she couldn't bear the deception. So one night she told him that she was leaving him, and he was heartbroken. Well, of course, I mean, he had every right to be. He begged her to stay, and I am ashamed to say that I put so much pressure on her. I told her she had to leave him. I gave her no way out.
Before she disappeared, did you know what she decided?
No. She did say at one point that she felt like ending it all.
You believe she committed suicide?
The day after she vanished, I resigned my post and joined a seminary. Now my life is my penance.
Your, friendship with Nicholas Dunham. Isn't that a bit odd?
Well, I mean, we made our peace a long time ago. He was destroyed by losing her. We both were.
Did Angelique believe that Nicholas killed her daughter?
Yes, she made no secret about it.
But you didn't. Can I ask why?
Nicholas is no killer.
Ah, yes, of course. As school priest, you hear the headmaster's confession, don't you?
I couldn't possibly say.
Ooh.
What are you doing?
I'm doing what it looks like. I'm taking a break.
But we're so close to finishing.
Fidel, you've got to remember, According to every time and efficiency study there's ever been, 5-minute breaks every hour can improve productivity within the workforce by up to 20%.
Is that true?
I have no idea. Sounds good though, doesn't it?
You always do that.
Do what?
That quick answer thing. I've never been very good at that. Sometimes the inspector asks me a question and I just freeze. It's like my brain refuses to give up any words. And I know it might only be a second, but for me, it feels like an hour. Just standing there with my mouth open like...
How many times have I told you? You need to loosen up a bit, man.
That's what Juliet says.
Okay. So if even your wife is telling you to loosen up, you're in big trouble, man. Just relax. Don't worry about things so much. Life has a way of making things work out. Just trust in that.
Yeah. You're right.
I know.
That's exactly what I'm going to do.
Good.
You know something? I don't think I put the lid back on the powder.
Oh.
What a sad story.
I know. You know, I'm surprised they had to dig up Nicholas's patio. It would have fallen apart anyway.
What?
Got a copy of his building supplies in the original file. It's got the ratio wrong, see? Too much lime, not enough sand and cement.
You're incredible, you know that?
Thank you. I know. He may be a scientist, but he knows next to nothing about grouting. Why involve the commissioner?
What's that got to do with this?
Well, he could have just taken us to the orphanage, couldn't he? Or phoned a solicitor or a lawyer like a normal person, but no. Nicholas wanted us humiliated. Why? To make us back off? But he's got an alibi for the time of the murder. What's he frightened of? What if he really is the murderer?
Oh, great. So when I think Nicholas is guilty and arrest him, you're not interested. But the moment he proves he's innocent, suddenly you convince he's guilty?
Problem?
Yes. You are the most annoying man I've ever met.
Well, it's a very small island. Right. I need a hardware store with a pet section, if possible.
Excuse me?
Our headmaster's not the only one who can play games.
Okay, Fidel, I'll pass it on. What about Tom Hilton's statement? Okay. Okay, thanks. You know, of all the things I thought we might need to solve this case, a fish tank was not one of them.
Who was that?
Fidel is finished dusting the available evidence footprints.
Hang on, don't tell me. The cyanide bottle from Nicholas's cupboard was covered in fingerprints, but only Nicholas's. The same was true of the rum bottle and one of the shot glasses. The other had both his and Angelique's fingerprints on. Step back.
Was there any point in us checking?
Yeah, of course. There's no surprise in everything pointing towards Nicholas Dunham being the killer. It's been that way from the start. What about Tom Hilton? What did he say in his interview?
That he heard and saw nothing, but he reckons he saw Angelique alive in Nicholas's classroom after Nicholas left for the orphanage.
How very convenient for Nicholas.
So did he kill her or not?
I'm hoping this fish tank will tell us.
Gin and tonic?
Thank you.
It's not for you. I'm trying to work here, so you can stop looking at me like that. Look like my mother. That is exactly how my mother looks at me. Yes, I'm taking my vitamins. Yes, I'm wrapping up warm. Look, Mum, I'm fine. It's not as if I'm on the other side of the... Oh, God, I'm on the other side of the world. Oh, there's my car. Yeah, I'm late for work. What if there's been a murder or... Yeah, gotta go. Yep, sure, yep. Yep, till next time. Bye.
I heard voices.
You really?
Don't you get hot at night wearing all that?
Yes.
Then you should sleep naked. I do. Oh. Shouldn't your lizard be on the inside?
It's not my lizard.
Then whose is it? And what's this?
Oh. It's a cyanoacrylate fumigation tank.
Oh, funny. Because it looks like a light bulb in a fish tank to me.
Well, that's where you're wrong, because it's a light bulb in a fish tank with superglue. Or cyanoacrylate, to give it its proper name.
Still looks like a light bulb in a fish tank.
The light bulb heats the foil, which heats the superglue, which evaporates. And here's the clever bit. Once it becomes a gas, the fumes will only stick to the fatty acids, amino acids and proteins that you find in fingerprints.
Seriously?
Allowing you to reveal fingerprints on difficult surfaces such as the inside of latex gloves. Fidel, there are prints on the fingertips of these gloves. See if you can find a match, will you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So our headmaster has an alibi that includes orphans and nuns. We have a heartbroken priest, caretaker with criminal tendencies, and a school secretary whose loyalty knows no bounds.
Yes, and don't forget the voodoo
And then there's Delilah. Oh, the daughter, wife and lover who vanished into thin air. But everything always leads back to our headmaster.
Do we arrest him again?
His call to the commissioner was to intimidate us, get us to back off.
So
let's show him it hasn't worked. Ah, yes, the patio. Hello?
What are you doing here?
We have some more questions.
You dare to come here after yesterday?
I'm intrigued you never felt the need to mention your wife's disappearance.
That was 15 years ago. I don't see how it's relevant.
Surely we should be the judge of that. We spoke to Father Charles yesterday. He told us what happened.
Oh, but you already knew that, didn't you?
It's very hot, isn't it? Perhaps Miss Kerr could bring us some refreshments. Lemonade would be fine.
Molly and I...
No need to explain. Really?
you have a beautiful view here.
Yes, I have.
Build that patio yourself?
No.
It says in your file.
No, the patio I built when my wife disappeared was, as you know, dug up by the police shortly afterwards, and they found nothing.
So tell me, when you were ordering the building supplies...
Don't play games with me, Inspector. I think you'll find I'm slightly better at them than you are.
Lemonade. Thank you, Miss Kerr.
Thank you.
Why did Angelique come and see you yesterday?
I told you to borrow some books.
We didn't find any reference books out in the classroom.
Then she must have put them away.
Or any evidence to suggest you're telling the truth.
I beg your pardon.
Angelique believed you'd murdered her daughter, didn't she?
Yes, the ramblings of a mad old woman. No one took her seriously.
You believe your wife committed suicide?
Obvious to anyone with half a brain, I would have thought.
We've been to Angelique Morel's house now. We know exactly what she thought of you.
Yes, somehow her popping by to borrow a book and share a glass of rum just doesn't ring true. So we're going to be asking you the same questions over and over again until you tell us the truth.
Very well. She visited me yesterday to accuse me of murder, of killing my wife.
The spirits have spoken. Murderer!
She said I had to confess, or I'd have a voodoo curse put on me that I'd never be able to break.
You lost your temper with her?
I'm a headmaster. It was in my own school. I think that should afford me some respect, don't you?
Surely she's accused you before.
Uh-huh.
What's different about this time?
I've no idea.
Then what about evidence? Did she have any proof to back up her claims?
Of course she didn't. My Nicholas couldn't hurt anyone. He's not a killer.
What are we missing?
He doesn't look very happy.
The case isn't going very well.
I'm not invisible, you know. I can hear you. Actually, maybe that's the problem. I'm invisible. Why can't we find a motive? It shouldn't be hard. An old woman's killed. Who benefits? You know, there's got to be... There's something we're not getting, you know. There's some key, which if we could only identify, it would unlock the whole case. I'm sure of it.
You know what my father used to say?
Oh, please let it not be homespun in any way.
If you can't find the right answer, you've probably been asking the wrong question.
It's as if all the wonders of the universe were suddenly revealed.
Is he really not eating?
I haven't seen him eat since he got here.
Of course I eat. It's just there's a lot of Caribbean food in the Caribbean.
You can't solve crime on an empty stomach.
Fine, then I'll get it. What the hell was that?
Rum, lime, and ice. But mostly rum.
Lime? I hate lime.
Oh. Nobody move.
Of course.
Sir, I have the results on the latex gloves I found in the bin.
I already know who was wearing them.
But I haven't told you yet.
I know. You don't need to.
Oh, you know who the murderer is.
Gather everyone in Nicholas's classroom. Oh, and the Commissioner. He's going to want to see this. Good work, team. And thanks, Catherine. Your father was right after all. A rum cocktail was the answer. I've just been asking the wrong question. This case has been impossible from the start. A voodoo prediction that couldn't be true, evidence that pointed at only one man, and all this time this nagging sense that I was missing something. Tom, my team have never believed you were a credible murder suspect, and they were right. You may have stolen a few computers for charity, but you didn't kill Angelique, did you?
No.
Any more than you did, Father Charles. I mean, you discovered the body, but you're not a murderer either. But you did give us one crucial piece of information.
It's no secret to say her health was deteriorating.
Because you talked about Angelique as though she were already dying, plenty of evidence of which could be found at her house. These are pretty hardcore. Isn't that right, Father?
I can't break the seal of the confessional.
She came to confess?
She's dead, Father. You'll be helping catch her killer.
She had severe heart disease, and the way she put it, she said she was dying of a broken heart. So when I found the body, I just thought she'd had a coronary. But when you told me that she was murdered...
This was no coronary. The pathologist's report is clear. Angelique died from a fatal dose of cyanide. Which leaves us only two suspects. Let's take a moment to consider Angelique's voodoo prophecy.
Well, you don't believe that claptrap, do you?
Her warning clearly pointed the finger of suspicion at you, Nicholas. The scarred man. And it's obvious, isn't it, when you think about it? I mean, this is your classroom.
your poisons, only you could have killed her.
But you know where I was.
The dream alibi. Orphans and nuns, no less. You could have killed her before you left, then begged Tom to lie about seeing her alone. Because that's what you do, isn't it, Headmaster? You demand the loyalty and the respect of others.
Just a minute.
Then it struck me. Everything about Angelique's death was carefully constructed to frame you for her murder. You've been set up, Mr. Dunham, from the start. You didn't kill Angelique Morel. And seeing as we know Tom didn't kill her, and Father Charles didn't kill her, and now you didn't kill her, that only leaves you, Miss Kerr, the perfect secretary. The person who's always there to pick up the pieces. I'm pretty sure you could have acquired the key to the poison cupboard any time you wanted. And you knew where he kept his stash of rum.
But why? Why would I kill Angelique?
And there we have it again. Why? Don't worry, Miss Kerr. You didn't kill Angelique any more than the other three did.
Then who?
The voodoo prophecy was the key after all. There's only one way that Angelique could have known she'd be murdered within 24 hours of her prophecy, and that all the evidence would point to Mr. Dunham. Clever, isn't it?
Who killed her?
Camille?
It was Angelique.
What? She killed herself to frame Nicholas for her murder from beyond the grave.
It's like Father Charles said. Angelique knew she was dying. At least this way, her death would have some meaning. She knew Dwayne was a police officer, and she knew that when she made a prediction, she was telling the police who to suspect.
Yes, but luckily I didn't fall for it.
Seeing as she couldn't get into the poisons cupboard, how did she get hold of the cyanide that killed her? Oh, and you were right, Headmaster, about there being no poisons missing from the cupboard. You see, she brought her own. Angelique studied herbal remedies. There wasn't a plant on the island she didn't know and understand the properties of, including one specific variety found at her house. Cassava, which, if you boil and drain off the liquid,
Gives you cyanide.
her plan was simple. She laced her own rum with cyanide, then replaced the bottle back in the drawer, knowing that Nicholas's fingerprints would be on everything. That's why we found a shard of glass in the sink, because that's how she disposed of the vial.
Can you prove any of this?
Fidel found some latex gloves in the waste bin there, with only Angelique's fingerprints inside them. Is that right, Fidel?
Yes, sir.
So, with the scene set to look like murder, all she had to do now was provide a corpse. All right.
Then Angelique wasn't murdered?
No. Her death was tragic, criminal intent, but it was suicide, that's all.
Poor woman.
So, that's it? Is that what you're saying? After all that, we're free to go?
Absolutely. You're free to go. Thank you for your cooperation.
No, thank you, Detective Inspector. Thank you for your discretion.
Apart from you, Headmaster, I'm arresting you for murder.
But you just said that she committed suicide.
Not of Angelique, of your wife, Delilah.
You can't possibly...
Angelique believed you'd murdered her daughter.
Angelique was mad, raving.
Driven mad, perhaps, because she knew you'd killed her daughter but could never prove it.
But I'm innocent. Take these damn things
Leave
off.
the poor man alone. We went through this 15 years ago. You'll never be able to prove anybody killed that stupid woman.
No, but that's just the thing. I can. You see, anybody can commit murder. Murder's the easy part. It's how to dispose of the body. That's where most murderers fail, how they get caught. It's really the breakthrough came when I was drinking a local cocktail. It was just rum, lime and ice, but it tasted like paint stripper. Maybe the recipe was wrong, but how can it be? The ingredients are so simple. Just as they were for that patio you built all those years ago. You see, sand and cement, they were fine, but there was something you'd ordered much too much of, wasn't there? Lime. So what did you do with all those kilograms of lime you had spare? It's a powdered alkaline metal, isn't it? If you add water to it, you get calcium hydroxide, better known as slaked lime or quicklime. And quicklime is capable of dissolving the flesh off human bones in a matter of days.
Okay, I return to my original question. How do you dispose of a human body? Well, if you're a science teacher, a headmaster who demands loyalty, demands respect, someone who likes humiliating police officers in front of their superiors, then maybe you don't dispose of it. Maybe you display it. Pride of place in your classroom.
You've been teaching in this room, gloating over her for the last 15 years.
I didn't kill her.
Lies!
Molly, believe me.
I'm going to make a prophecy now, like poor, sweet, deluded Angelique. But mine will come true, because it's not based on faith. It's based on your subject, science. Look, Father, I'm sorry to do this to you, but all those years ago when Delilah had her bicycle accident, she broke her arm in 2 places. Do you remember which bones?
It was the humerus and the radius.
Angelique hoped that her death would put her daughter's killer behind bars, and here's my prediction. It will. Because we'll be able to use Angelique's DNA to prove that these are the mortal remains of her daughter, Delilah.
I told you she'd never leave me for you.
Oh! All right, that's enough. Fidel, perhaps you'd like to take Mr. Dunham into detention.
Yes, sir.
Well, the prophecy was right in one respect. Truth was in the bones after all.
So seeing as you're now into prophecies, how about I make one I know will come true?
Go on.
If I ask you out for a drink with me and the team tonight, you refuse to come.
Well, you're wrong. I'd love to do that. Unfortunately, I've got an errand to run, and dinner to prepare, so maybe we could all do something together some other time.
Hey, what's up? Poor Angelique. That she do that. She got her man in the end, though.
Yeah. Suppose we should be grateful we got to the bottom of her prophecy. It just wasn't true.
But she couldn't have known the truth was in the bones, could she? So where did that bit come from?
It's just a phrase.
What's that?
Oh, go ahead, open it. Huh. When you have your baby, he's going to need a pair of football boots.
Thank you, Dwayne.
Or little girl, whatever you're going to have. Point being, whenever they need some boots, they've got some. And they're brand new.
Then how about this one? Oh, come on, this one claims to be as good as it looks, which is a startling slogan considering how it looks. If 8 out of 10 cats have a preference, can't one lizard?
So that's what you meant when you said you had dinner to prepare?
You know, I said I never know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
If I know what you're thinking.
You haven't the first idea.
Can I help you, Detective Sergeant?
Yes. My mother's cooking you dinner tonight to celebrate catching Delilah's killer, for which there's a lot of people in this island who are grateful. So she says you can't refuse as she's preparing you an English feast of roast beef. Oh, hang on, I wrote it down. Yorkshire pudding, roast potatoes, and horseradish sauce.
You had me at roast beef.
Thank you very
That's amazing, look!
Father.
For everything thy goodness sends, Father in heaven, we thank thee. Amen.
And to Papa Legba. And Angelique.
And Delilah.
Now, come on. This food wanted itself.
Is this what I think it is?
Oh, look at that. Well, this is the...
Let me hold it for you. We've got to make a start. Good, fantastic. The seal of approval.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Can someone help me? It's my husband.
People only knew.
Megan Talbot may very well be the killer, but what we don't have is the truth. Keep talking. Good. I'm not a big fan of seafood, if I'm honest. Most of it has eyes. Good grief.
What's going to happen to me?
You were holding hands.
She was holding my hand. Push me!
2 stakeouts in one night.
Later, imagine on BBC One as Simon and Garfunkel taking a look back at the recording of their Bridge Over Troubled Water album. That's at 10:35. A live music collaboration on BBC Two now. Lou Reed and Metallica perform together on tonight's Later with Jules Holland.